Hey guys, welcome into the Sportscast here, brought to you by the Outspoken Network. Got your hosts Brian and Craig on. Craig, my man, how you been?
Howdy.
All right, guys, we got our Week 12 takeaways here. We have our power rankings as well, and we're going to get into a little bit of the college football playoffs as they have the 12 team out right now. We're talking a little bit about that as well, and I can't believe Craig, we're already at Week 12. The season's moving along a little too quickly, and unfortunately, but here we are. Craig, why don't you go ahead and give us one of your Week 12 takeaways?
Well, I think that there may be, possibly some trouble in Kansas City. They win on the last second field goal to a team that they probably should have had no trouble with, and so you wonder with all the struggles they've had at 10-1, if they're going to make the run. I mean, now in the past they put it together when it mattered, so we'll see if that happens again. But right now that they're in a lot of every game is down to the final buzzer.
Yeah, it's a dangerous way to play, and to rely on that slitch just flipping when playoffs come, and you start playing harder or whatever it may be. That's a dangerous way to play, and you're exactly right there. That the Chiefs that barely beat the Panthers was mind-boggling at the very best, and um, every game they've won has been by one score or fewer, and they haven't done what Buffalo has done, what Lions have done, where they've just blown people out. At times, Ravens look like that as well, and you wonder if they're going to make that run in the playoffs. And we'll see. It should be lead up to a very interesting playoff run. But one of my takeaways is maybe the Commanders aren't as good as we thought they were. Commanders come down a little bit back to earth. This week as they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. Insane fourth quarter of that game. Just absolutely one of the most insane fourth quarters you could see. But what was weird is this whole game, and Craig, I'm pretty sure you watched it, but they did not let Jane Daniels throw the ball downfield. I mean, it was dink and dunk and five and hand the ball off here. And the Dallas Cowboys defense seems like they were a little bit better. And um, like Rush played a little bit better and everything like that. But I think we're kind of holding off on that. The Commanders have arrived, and they've still got a good record, and they're still a little bit further than we expected them to be at this point. But their future looks bright, but I don't think they're anything special like they were looking for at the beginning of the year.
Well, I just wonder if maybe we finally have some tape on Jaden Daniels. And not and by tape I mean, yeah, we all had college games and could watch him play, but we have 11 weeks of NFL footage of ways that he likes to do things and tendencies that he has. And I think you're seeing the same thing in the Texans with CJ Stroud is you started to get some film on these guys and you started to be able to see what they do and how they do it and starting to take away the NFL will always make adjustments to everybody. I mean, they've made adjustments to Mahomes, they've made adjustments to you know, um, all these guys that have been good for years, the league somehow will always catch up. And I'm wondering if that's not what we're seeing here is a little bit of Daniels will have to do some things and Kingsbury will have to do some things to get him some different looks. And I mean, we've always said that he has one wide receiver in McLaurin. Other than that, they're kind of average. So you take away his one weapon. I mean, McLaurin still had his day. I mean, he still had the 86 yards at the end of the game, and
Crazy.
you know, um, but they really don't have a huge running game. They have really relied on Daniel's arm and what he's done, and McLaurin, and I mean, I think they still probably make the playoffs, but maybe not. I mean, you got the that whole division Lions, Vikings, Packers. I think I very easily they could all come out of that division, and then you have the West, which do the 49ers right the ship there, or is it too late for that to happen? Yeah, I mean, I think Washington took a big hit by. I think everybody thought they would just show up, and especially being at home.
Yeah. And you always talk about like obviously it's a divisional game. Divisional games are hard to win. Doesn't matter who's who, but Cowboys showed up. They looked better on defense this game. Like I said, Cooper Rush played a little bit better. Um, so they surprised me a little bit there, but that game was insane at the end, and I've never seen a worse game from the special teams than that. Both of those kickers were missing, and when they scored that touchdown and at the end of the game, I looked at the wife. I said they need to go over two because their kicker's terrible. And what does he do? He boots it way left, and I'm like,
Well, I mean, the snap
are
wasn't
you
great,
kidding me?
but I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, it wasn't even close, and he missed before, and it's just I was like, this is crazy. But um, well, you kind of took one of my other ones, and the other one was the Texans aren't the team we all thought they'd be this season. And I remember last year at the end of this year, we were going CJ Stroud is him, and the Texans are going to be a beast of a team next year. And people are putting CJ Stroud. Where's Ryan Sims at in the top five quarterback list and our top 10 quarterback list? They're putting him up way up there. I'm going. I got to see it more than 1 year. Well, here we are, and I'm not saying he's not having a good year. He's having a decent year. It's not the year we thought they'd have. It's not the dominating defense we thought they'd have. They just lost. Who they just lose to? They just lost to the Titans. They give up 32 points to the Tennessee Titans, who have been unable to score points, unable to play a game of football, put it all together, and this is a really telling loss for them. Something's missing there, and then it's that sophomore slump for CJ Stroud looks to be a thing. And what's up, Bear Ski Films? Bear down as the Bears find another way to get your hopes up and let you down again. But Craig, what's another takeaway of yours?
Well, I still think that the Lions are right now the team to beat. They go in and don't have the greatest game from Jared Goff and still put up a bunch of points, and even with all the injuries they've had, they're still finding ways to very much win football games, and I mean the schedule's not a cakewalk the rest of the way. I mean, they have kind of a tough deal with um the Packers, the Vikings, the Niners, you know. Um so I mean, they still have some tough games ahead of them, but I mean, um they have a lot of games in hand on I mean, they only have one on Minnesota, but I mean, I haven't been very much impressed with Minnesota either. Um,
No, they're not as good as we thought they were.
and the Packers are okay, but I think they still have their struggles. I think right now, if you're a Lions fan, you're very much thinking you're in the driver's seat of that division and in the driver's seat of the NFC, which doesn't look to be a very big juggernaut this year.
No, and obviously being a Packers fan, the Lions have got it wrapped up pretty much, unless something happens, the wheels fall off. I don't buy Minnesota. I think Packers are better than
Yeah,
Minnesota. Um, the Lions are just the best team in football, and honestly, I don't think there's really any argument to put any other team there. I don't think you can argue and say the Chiefs are that team either. Like a lot of people are, oh, the Chiefs are 10, but you go look at their team. Go look at the games. The Lions have held the last two opponents to 6 points each. They've put up 50 points here, 40 points there. They make it look easy. Um, and I say all that, and that the Chiefs probably beat the Lions in the Super Bowl, but I guess we'll wait and find out. But um, I one of my other ones is I don't buy the Steelers. I don't. I just don't. And I'm sorry, Derpy. I don't trust them. I like their head coach. I think they've got a great head coach who can win. He can be above 500 with anybody, and that's great coaching. But they really haven't won. They really haven't. They beat the Ravens, which they beat 2 point 2 point to the Ravens. But
You
other
beat the
than that,
Ravens
they
with no touchdowns, though. I mean,
yeah, and they don't. And it's a divisional game. You're going to play them tougher. I get. They won that game. Cool. But who else have they beaten? They have not. I mean, they beat the Commanders by 1 point, but I just talked about the Commanders aren't as great as maybe we were thinking they were. I don't trust them. They have a good defense. Russell Wilson ain't killing them, but he's not out there just murdering it either. So I just don't trust the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lose to the Browns in a blizzard with a backup quarterback who is probably better than Deshaun Watson, but um, I'm not buying the Steelers. I don't know if you feel any different, but I'm not buying the Steelers.
I just don't trust the quarterback play that they have. I mean, I just was talking about this the other day. Somebody said something about the Steelers, and I said I don't, I don't trust Wilson or you know,
Yeah,
I just don't trust Wilson or Fields. I mean, I understand they're using them both, and normally when you see Fields, it means it's going to be a running play. So,
yeah, he's not throwing the ball.
you're very if you've watched any kind of film, then once Fields comes into the game that he's probably running it. You can prepare for that. But Russell Wilson has you talk about a fall off. I mean the Seattle Seahawks look like geniuses to have gotten out at the exact right time where that career just fell off the table. I mean Wilson was you know um, played very good, led him to Super Bowls, and won one. Probably should have won a second one. Um,
Hmm.
and now all of a sudden he is very much just the typical bus driver. Just try to keep us in the game, try to not turn it over, and try to put some kind of points on the board and let the defense take over for the rest of it. And I mean, in some kind of ways that might work, but in a lot of ways that's not going to win playoff games. You're going to probably get bounced very early by a team of Buffalo or Kansas City or you know I mean I don't really maybe the Ravens. That you never know which Ravens team is going to show up. Um, you know, I mean, really, to me, this is probably a 3 or 4 team race. I don't think you can say that um, you can say that there's a huge cluster of teams this year that are going to really make a run, a deep run. There's probably two from the AFC and one from the NFCs, and you know that's about it.
You got any more takeaways?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Um, I got not a takeaway, but just a question of who was better. Who was the better get this offseason? Was it Saquon Barkley or was it Henry? Derrick Henry. Who was the better get? Saquon has 1,392 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's having a career average of 6.2 yards a carry. And Derrick Henry's 1,325 yards, 13 touchdowns, and he's averaging 6 yards a carry. Who's the better get? Who do you think?
I have to say that Saquon was the better deal at this point. The season he had is strictly one that I mean, he's just had a chip on his shoulder and basically said, "You guys didn't want me. I'm going to go over here to not only a another team, but he's going to go to a division rival and just stick it to the Giants and anybody else that's been in the way. I mean, he has had. I mean, he had 255 yards. That's unheard of. I mean, that's just in an NFL football game. That's just unheard of.
Insane. Yeah, he's been doing some things that are absolutely crazy. Saquon went off the other night. Henry played really well last night against the Chargers. I'm gonna have to, if I had to pick one, and I asked the question to myself about who's better for the team. I'm probably gonna go with Derrick Henry, just because the duo with him and Lamar in the backfield of who's running the ball. And when they got Henry running last night against Chargers, and they did a play fake, or Lamar pulled the ball and ran, it was very successful. But they're both doing great things that I don't think a lot of us saw. Like Saquon's having a career year here with the Eagles, where he never averaged close to 6.2 yards a carry, and with the New York Giants, and the New York Giants um, owner is on suicide watch over there for letting this guy go, especially to the Giant or to the Eagles. And then Derrick Henry, I thought was washed up, but apparently he's proved us all wrong there. And um, I'm not sure if Henry gets the Ravens over that playoff hump or not. Um, but we'll see. We'll see going into the playoffs who helps their team out more, because
I think
both of them playing really well right now.
I think you could, if somebody said this was going to happen, you could kind of see it from Saquon. He's never been healthy. He's never lasted the whole year. He's never had the longevity of this type of year. He's had games like this, but never a season like this. And Henry, I think if you're the Ravens, you got more out of Henry than anything. Like if somebody would have told the Ravens this is what you're going to get from Derrick Henry, they would have been like, if we get that, we'll take it. Because that's just I don't think you I think you expected a veteran running back who would give you some tough yards and run hard, but I don't think you saw this being in the MVP vote, you know, talks in week 13, going into week 13, that here we are talking about Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley being the MVP candidates.
Yeah, I've never heard so many running backs put in the MVP talks, but there definitely are. All right, let's do our power rankings real quick before we get into college football here. NFL power rankings. Let's go. We'll do 1 to 5. Um, I
I think
don't
one's
think
pretty obvious.
one's obvious. If you don't have the Lions at number one, then you don't know what you're talking about. Number two, Craig. Who you got? Number two.
Um, I still have to leave Kansas City there. I understand they're not winning games by a lot, but I mean they are 10-1, and I think they have a stronghold on that division. So
Um, I got the Buffalo Bills at number two, which I never thought I would say that this season, especially since we thought they were going to fall off a cliff here. I got the number two. They're just a good football team right now. They beat the Chiefs. They had a bye week last week.
yeah, yeah.
So they're gonna be well rested. And having a bye week there is um sorry, the chat's going stupid right now, but with people, but um Buffalo Bills, they're going to have the bye week this late is fantastic. I wish my team had a bye week this late in the season. I got Philadelphia at number three. I think Philly's been playing really well. Saquon's been an absolute beast for him, and it's really helped out their quarterback. They've gotten healthier as the season's gone on. This defense is good, Give me Philadelphia at number 3.
I got Buffalo 3. A very probably could have been a flip flop of 2 and 3, but Buffalo has looked good, and then I think the bye week, like you're saying, I think that gives um, Cooper a chance to heal and gives the quarterback a chance to rest, and I just think that the Bills are looking really good right now, better than we expected.
I got the Chiefs at number 4. They're definitely in my top 5. I had to bump them down a couple notches here. They're winning games barely. They're letting the Carolina Panthers look like they're a good football team. Um, I got them at number 4. Who do you got?
Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, the Eagles, they've looked better than I expected. I really thought that they were kind of implode amongst each other. There was some turmoil in the building of the quarterback not being a good leader, and you didn't expect this from Saquon, and the coaches all over the map, and you just kind of thought the whole thing was in turmoil. And especially the way they looked early in this season, and they've ripped off, 5 or 6 in a row here, and right now seem to be getting stronger.
Yeah, I think we talked about them and maybe imploding and in the locker room, but I think honestly the play of Saquon Barkley has led that team turned that team around, and they're really buying into him, and he's been fun to watch. I got the Ravens at number 5. Um, their team sometimes I don't trust, but watching the game last night against the Chargers, they were firing on all cylinders. Um, the Chargers, I thought might have had a chance to beat them, but they really put the game away. I don't think it's as close as the final score said it was last night. And Herbert has wide receivers who can't catch the football, but I and both it was funny because both Harbaugh brothers are playing each other last night, so that was kind of funny. But who do you got number 5?
Yeah, right now I still have to go with the Ravens over a Minnesota or a Green Bay. I know the records kind of are higher, but I have not been impressed with either one of those. Minnesota almost loses to Chicago, or should have lost to Chicago. Um,
Yeah, they blew
Green
11-point
Bay,
lead.
Green Bay handled business against San Francisco, but that was a shell of the 49er team that is, with 15 players on the, IR, and off on the sideline. I just think that game's probably different if they have their whole roster. So, unfortunately, I'm not big on the Ravens, but I still have to give them the credit. So they did take care of business last night against a team in the Chargers that have been very good this season up to this point.
Yeah, for the Packers handle business. I was talking to a couple buddies of mine. I can't, yeah, we beat the 49ers. We beat them 38-10, but when they're losing their starting quarterback, their best defensive pass rusher, it's hard to hang your head up on that one. We
Most of
scored.
the wide receiving core.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really hang your head on that. A win's a win. At the end of the day, we play Miami Thursday night football coming up. Probably the only good game of the week as you got Lions and Bears and Cowboys Giants. Both those games should not be very good. Um, the Packers handle business. They should handle business against Miami, and that won't be a good game. But Miami's won 3 in a row with Tua back, so that should be um, a
And they
pretty
did
good
play
fight
it. They
Thursday
did
night.
play a little bit better, um, you know. So
Yeah, this last week they looked better. So we'll see where that goes. But let's get this college football here before we wrap the episode up. The 12. This is the week 14 bubble watch. It says you got Oregon State number 1, Texas number 2, Miami moving all the way up to number 3, which is pretty interesting. 4 Boise State. Wow, wow. 5 Ohio State. Boise State's not better than Ohio State, but um, Penn State 6, Notre Dame 7, 8 Georgia, 9 Tennessee, Indiana, or sorry, SMU at 10 and Indiana at 11. SMU's been a shocker this season. in a good way. There, Indiana has as well. Boise State at number 4. Did not see. No one could have predicted that. Um, Crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Ohio State gets punished for beating a number 5 ranked Indiana at home and handling it pretty soundly. That doesn't make sense. But I mean, Ohio State kind of controls its own destiny. They're in the Big Ten championship game. I mean, unless the world falls apart and they lose to Michigan, but they should be in the Big Ten title game and have a shot to win the Big Ten and have a shot to put themselves in no matter what anybody says. You can take the out of the poller's hands and just win the Big Ten and be done with it. Um, but there's still some teams that are alive that probably shouldn't be due to the conference they're in, and that is going to be something that you need to keep a very close eye on when it comes down to conference title games. Is there's going to be some teams that might still get in that are not only going to get in but going to get a bye through the first round, and it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at. I'm looking at rankings, college football playoff rankings, and AP Top 25.
Well, the AP doesn't make the thing now. It's still there's a committee still, kind of like the BCS. There's a committee that votes on this, and apparently I'm not sure what they're seeing in the Boise State strength of
Well,
schedule and um,
what? Here's the confusion because I looked up something that had the playoff picture, but the rankings is one Ohio, two is or one is Oregon, two is Ohio, three is Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, six is Miami,
that's
seven is
better.
Georgia, eight Tennessee, SMU's at nine, Indiana at 10, Boise State and Clemson, with Alabama being at 13. But why is that different from the playoff picture? Because conferences
I'm guessing.
or
I mean, and like I said, it's going to change because it's not going to be 1 through 5 that get a bye. It's
yeah,
going to be
yeah,
your 5 conference champions. And so then there's going to be, after the 5 conference champions, it's really technically going to be a 7 team.
yeah,
There's going
yeah.
to be 7 spots. So
So that's why
really,
Ohio
really
State's number
until
five in
right
the
really right until and if Ohio State loses a second time, do they get in? They should, but that's why we're going to have to wait until the conference championship's over because if Ohio State beats Oregon, then both of those teams will get in,
yeah.
guaranteed. If
All right,
Ohio State loses, then it could get a
that's
little mucky.
that's the confusion. The playoff. That's what we talked about first. The second rankings is what the rankings are now. But um, because I was thinking Miami all the way up to number three was pretty high. They're at number six right now. They were eight before this win last week. Um,
But a good chance Miami's going to win the ACC kind of
yeah.
hands down.
Um, Georgia's up three spots at seven. Tennessee's up three spots. SMU jumped up four. Indiana dropped five. Um, Alabama
Which that's
dropped
a lot.
six.
I mean, that's a lot for Indiana. I mean, I understand their strength of schedule hasn't been great, but they were 10-0, and to lose to Ohio State in Ohio State,
Yeah,
it's not
they're punishing them pretty big there.
right. That's a huge drop for losing your first game in somebody else's stadium to the number 2 team in the nation. That's a pretty solid drop for that. So that's kind of, you know,
Colorado dropped 9 spots to 25, still keeping them in
Right.
there.
Um,
You've got BYU dropping 5 spots. They've kind of come back to earth the last couple weeks. Texas A&M dropping 5 spots.
and
It's
all
it's it
those are legitimate. I mean, you lose to
yeah.
teams that aren't ranked and um, teams that you should very much beat. And I think the A&M to Auburn probably should have been, of those three scenarios, that probably should have been the least punishable deal because of how crazy that stadium is, and Auburn's still a pretty good football team. Um,
A&M dropped 5 because of that. They're at 20. They're ranked number 20.
yeah,
Um,
and to lose in quadruple overtime, it's not like you got blown out of the
yeah.
yard, you
And
know.
then you have Ole Miss dropping 5 because of their loss. Alabama at number 13 looking on the outside in. I don't think there's a way they can even get in
No,
now with 3 losses.
I don't. There's would be a lot of other teams that deserve to be in and should be in over a three-loss Alabama. I understand that three losses in the SEC are probably better than three losses in any other conference,
Yeah.
but I just don't see how they get in. But where I see the flaw is there's nine teams in the Big 12 that are still alive, and Colorado is very much probably in a very good position to make the Big 12 title game and win the Big 12 and get a bye. And you could have a three-loss conference champion, get in and get a bye. And that to me, maybe
The
maybe we
flaw
need
in
to
the system.
look at. I mean, I understand that all your conference champions should get in, and that's why we made this rule. But I mean, I could show you a path where Colorado wins. There's two of the four teams that are tied at two losses lose. They go to the 12 title game, they win, and they get a bye. And let's just say Ohio State beats Oregon. Now you have a one loss Oregon team that has to play the first round. And so that to me, maybe we don't give the conference titles. They automatically get a bid to the playoff, but maybe we don't give them a bye. um, and we still go off the rankings because I mean, if you're Oregon, that seems to be a very punishable. You stay undefeated all year, you win the or you lose in your conference title game, and now you have to play. Who knows? Maybe a strong team. I mean, you might pull a Georgia or something like that. If Georgia doesn't win the SEC, then you draw a Georgia or a you know somebody like that or an Ohio State, you know, in round one, man, that would just be crazy, to have to do something like that. Um, Plus, I mean, some of these games though, could you imagine Oregon and SMU? I mean, that's not going to be much of a match.
No.
Um,
You get Boise
Oregon,
State
Oregon and
versus
Boise
anybody.
State. I don't
It's
think
not.
that's going to be a match. So some of these first rounders could be um, blowouts. So I mean, I think the system still needs a little bit of a tweaking, but I think it's better than
Yeah. What we've
you know
had.
what you had.
Harry says Georgia beats any team in the country on any neutral site. I don't know.
I I,
I
I think
haven't.
Georgia last year. I agree with them
Yeah.
100%.
Georgia this year hasn't looked that all that impressive. This year there's been a lot of teams that haven't looked all that impressive.
Right.
That whereas like Oregon's number 1, they're 11-0. They're the only team that doesn't have a loss, but um are
but
they the
they
best
haven't
team
but
in
they haven't
college?
blown
Yeah,
anybody out. They're
exactly.
they're winning games by one score. They're the Kansas City Chiefs of college football. I mean, they're not anything. That resume is not super impressive, and the Big Ten has not been anything about like they had been in years past. So the resume really isn't one to, and I get it. The SEC is still probably the toughest gauntlet in football. I mean, Texas,
Yeah.
Georgia, Alabama, um, Oklahoma's, even though they've had an off year, have has still
Well, they
making
just
noise.
stomped Alabama
Uh, you know,
24-3.
A&M has been up for most of the year. I mean, the SEC is brutal, and that level of football in the college football playoff has been something that is very, very difficult to deal with. A lot of teams don't play well. Michigan was in a battle for their life against Alabama. They got smoked by Georgia the year before. The way the Big Ten plays football and the way the SEC plays football are two totally opposite spectrums of how they play football. It's just not something that guys in the Big Ten are used to. So, and I think probably get whoever wins the SEC is probably going to be in the final four or six standing or whatever it is.
Yeah. Do you get your team your games this week, isn't it? Michigan, Ohio State?
Yeah, it's Saturday at 11 o'clock. I probably won't get to watch it because of work. But I also don't think I want to watch it this year, even though they're on a 3 year. Um, I mean, it would warm nothing in my heart more than to beat Ohio State and ruin their season.
Yeah,
Because
that's exciting.
it
But
would ruin their season because Indiana would automatically make the Big Ten title game, and I mean, you could almost say that if Ohio State loses to Michigan, they would probably be out because of losing to an unranked Michigan team,
their only
having a
losses to
second.
Oregon, right? Ohio State.
Right.
That was one hell of a game. You got to work Saturday or what?
Yeah, it's a normal day because of the day off.
Uh, yeah, I forget y'all do that. All right. Well, there is your takeaways from Week 12 of the NFL, our power rankings, and a little bit of college football here. As we need to start talking about that more, college football as we get closer to the playoffs, 12-team playoffs, and all that good stuff. But it is that time when we ask the questions. What is in your locker? As we got Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday, Craig. What's in your locker? What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Uh just me and Zach probably just hanging out around the house watching football. Got a small turkey, got the sides. We went and celebrated with my parents on Sunday, so that we had all 10 of us together there, brothers, sisters, you know, the rest of the family, nieces, and everything like that, and had prime rib and um, so all that was done on Sunday. So Thursday will just be a very quiet day of
Just a day
sitting
off.
around the house and watching football and having the day off and getting to sleep in the middle of the week, which is weird. And then the following weekend, I'm going to take off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and go up and go hunting with one of the guys from work. I'm gonna go up with Brad, and he's got some land up there, about 3.5, 4 hours away. Got a ton of hogs and a ton of deer up there, and so I'm gonna go try to fill some coolers and fill some freezers with some hog and some deer, and see if we can't be like my brother and just shoot anything that walked in front of him for a couple days. He went up to Arkansas and killed 3 deer, and uh,
Nice.
so so yeah, we I'm gonna go up and do that, and I don't know if it'll be the last opportunity to go, but I think it's going to be the best opportunity I'm going to have right now to fill some tags and do that. So that's about all I have right now. How about you?
Yeah, we just working. We're This time of year, with our line of work, it stays busy. It doesn't
Right.
slow down.
Right. For the
Um,
next 2 months, you know.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Um, Thursday is just where we usually host and have everyone over. This year, it's just us. It's just us, thank goodness. But we're still gonna cook a big turkey, all the fixings that go with it, and enjoy a day off and watch football. Wish there was better football games on, but doesn't look like the first two will be that good. Who knows? Maybe the Bears will shock us and almost beat the Lions. I hope that'll be a good
I think
win.
they're definitely playing a lot better football
Oh,
right now.
they definitely are, and that offensive coordinator change was the key to that. They should have beat Green Bay, but they let us block a field goal,
Definitely
and
should have beat Minnesota too.
yeah. Um, but that's pretty much it, man. Just working there. We're getting, we've got the Christmas tree up. We've got the lights on the outside already, and just getting ready for Christmas, and focusing on that. Just work's been gonna get busy next year. We're we're buying out some company. I don't. They won't tell us who yet. Buying out some company at the end of this month. Uh, it's all roll off and front load. So my department's about to get way bigger, and then we we're taking over some 10 open market residential routes in February. So just we're gonna be booming. We're just gonna be getting busy. So just working and doing the podcast, and that's pretty much about it. So not too much going on. Christmas time is our favorite time of year. My girl's favorite time of year. Just saving up for Santa Claus to come this year, and um, that's pretty much about it. Jeff is here in Texas. Um, he's down visiting his in-laws for Thanksgiving, so he'll stay down here for a week and then be back up. I don't think he'll make the show on Saturday, as he's down here and he's got to travel back to Colorado. But um, that's it for the show tonight, guys. Well, look forward to us on Saturday night. Um, God bless and remember.
Keep it outspoken.
All right, cool.